computer. There we go. Okay. So just want to explain my process a little bit. So I'm just going to take a minute and I'm going to see what's, around and see what energy I can connect to. And, I'm going to say some stuff and I'm going to see if it makes sense to you. You can tell me yes, you can tell me no, you can tell me what fits. A lot of times, like the way I work is I feel things and then I see it, then I hear it. So if I don't understand what's coming in through a feeling, I'm going to see if I can actually have whomever's coming through for you explain it to me, like show it to me, and then I'll explain that to the best of my ability. And
Okay.
then, if I don't get it right on cue, then I'm pretty sure you'll know where it fits and you can kind of point me right back to the correct course.
Gotcha.
Okay. Um, hmm. okay, so I kind of feel like your father's coming through. And the way he's coming through, he's a very, very, I'm showing him like right around middle age. But when he comes through, it's like I'm very, very stern.
That's it.
Okay, it's like I'm here, it's no nonsense, and I'm not dealing with anything, but I'm here to do what I got to do, and then I'm done. Does that make sense for Dad?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Um, I kind of feel like this person had a very, very hard time expressing how they felt. Like it was more along the lines of if you just didn't know me, you weren't going to figure out how I felt, and if you did know me and you knew me well, you shouldn't have to ask, type of thing, because I'm
Yeah.
not going to tell you. And I get this whole I'm very, very stubborn. Like
Yeah.
I know that there's like a health problem there, if and I know I need to go to the doctor, but I'm not going to the doctor.
Yeah.
And I feel like whatever helped contribute towards his passing, like whatever it was he passed from, and like the way I feel this is like I feel my heart racing a little bit, and I feel something coming up here towards my throat, which means something would have started in my chest, but also affected either my ability to breathe or my ability to communicate.
Hmm.
Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And he's like, you know what? I know something's happening, but if I go to the doctor, I'm going to get bad news, and then I'm going to be a burden to everybody else, which is what I absolutely refuse to do.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. Um, and the way he's coming across, he's like, I'm going to die my way, and I'm going to die with dignity. Okay. It's like he's very, very like I have to be in control.
All right. Yeah.
And I don't let anyone else tell me what to do, um, because nobody knows better than I do.
Yeah.
Okay. But I feel like this is kind of like a thing that's passed down from the males in the family. Like I feel like his father did that to him, and then his father's father, and like we're just keep going back. And then I also feel like when he comes through, I'm seeing him being like in a military uniform.
Hmm. Interesting.
Okay, was he ever in the military?
He served, I think, 3 years in the Army during the Korean War. Yeah.
Okay. Because I definitely see him coming through like in a military fashion, and it's like this is what I'm proud of.
Hmm.
It's like I feel like when I did this, and whatever it is I don't know which country he served, but when he served it, like this is what made me a man. This is what made me feel the
Hmm.
most proud. Okay.
Interesting.
I feel like because this gave me experiences that nothing else in the world would have been able to give me.
Hmm.
And I learned things here that I don't feel like anything else would have been able to teach me.
Hmm. Okay. So yeah, he was in the Army, but I think he was on the entertainment side, which might have led to him later on for hobbies. He ended up doing ballroom dancing with my mom. So
But he'd still had to go through basic training, even if he was going through.
yeah, yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Yep, 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 yep.
So I feel like when I was there, because he's bringing me towards the beginning of the military career.
Hmm.
And he's like, so I learned how to do this. I learned how to do that. Like it's like, this is the first time I really, held a gun and was able to, knew that this was going to be something that I may not use. But if I ever get pulled outside of whatever it is I'm going in for, which what you said was the entertainment side, I would know how to use this. And when I get out, I'll know how to use this.
Hmm.
Like he always felt like he needed to be a protector. Like he felt like he needed to be the person to be, if anything was going to happen, he was going to take care of it. This is all going back to like his controlling side.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. I just want to turn that fan on. Is that okay?
Sure. Sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm just trying to get a little extra light in here. Ryan, when
No
you see
problem.
this, and you start editing this, I need you to use your movie magic to make me more clear. um, so yeah, going back to your dad, um, he was also the kind of person like when he comes through was again the authoritative, no nonsense, but it's also when I speak, I demand to be listened to. Like in other words, I demand to be obeyed.
Yeah.
You know, um, and he's talking about like he's bringing me back to I don't know if this is pre or post military career, but he's bringing me back to his wife. Now I
Okay.
don't know if your mom is still alive or not. I don't like I'm so focused on dad that I'm not seeing anything else around.
Hmm. No, she passed. She passed
You don't have to
five
tell
years
me how
before.
or when. Just
Okay.
that she passed is fine because if I can, I'll try and bring her through later.
Okay. Great. Great.
Um, but like I'm being told that of course every relationship has its problems and couples fight and all that stuff. But I feel like that there was like a distance between him and your mom. Like something happened that actually affected the relationship where they weren't as close as they used to be, and it was more along the lines of um all right, I'm laughing just because of the way he's saying this, but the message is not funny. He's like, she stopped listening. So it's kind of like almost like she rebelled or fought back. Is like, I'm not going to be treated like I'm subservient to you.
Yeah.
And your dad didn't
Okay.
like that. So there was like this whole, like, it became almost like a battle of wills. And I don't think your dad won that one.
No,
Um, in fact, what he's being told, it's like, and he comes through this like almost like with tears in his eyes, saying like, I feel bad for my kids having to see this because I pretty much made a total jerk out of myself. He's like, if I had just taken a step back, if I just eased up off those reins, everybody would have been so much closer. Okay. Now, mom, was she a smoker?
no, he was a
He
smoker.
was the smoker. Okay,
Yeah.
because I kept smelling the cigar or the cigarette tobacco.
Yeah.
Um, so he's bringing me now. I don't know like really where this comes into play, but it almost feels like I'm preparing to go on a vacation. Like me and the family are preparing to go on some sort of trip, but the trip doesn't go the way we had planned it. Like either we left late or we came back late or we couldn't go at all. It's like it feels like a comedy of errors
Hmm.
type of a thing. Like almost like anything that could go wrong would go wrong, right?
Hmm.
Like the way I'm seeing that, the way like it's being like my symbol for this, like the way it's being shown to me is like getting in the car that's driving you to the airport, like you hire like a taxi or something, and you completely forget to bring your bags along with you. Okay, so then you circle around, you get your bags, and you start going again, and then you realize as you came, like this would be like your mom coming in, putting her pocketbook down to go grab a couple of bags, leaving the pocketbook, so you have to circle around again, get the pocketbook, get in the car, and now we're running late. Now the kids are getting worried, they're getting worried, like we got to get this going. We need to get to the airport or wherever it is, however it is we're traveling, we have to get there. And then when we get there, it's like things calm down a little bit, but we're so like still in that like emotional frenzy that we're practically tripping over our own feet. Like this is the way this is coming across. Like like, honey, do you have the tickets? Well, no, I thought you had the tickets. Well, no, I thought you had the tickets.
Yeah.
Type of a thing. And then, but like once we get there, we're okay.
Yeah,
Do
it's
you
very
remember
typical.
any of this?
No, but it's like a scenario that plays out all the time,
Okay.
where he wants to do things and he'll blame her for it, and then she'll try getting organized, and then because like you said, he's a big control freak. He wants everything perfect, but he doesn't want to do everything. Like you have the map, you give me the directions. Oh, you gave me the wrong directions. Yeah, but you missed the exit. That's the kind of thing. So it would
Okay.
happen over and over like that
Okay. But it's like once we get there, we have a good time.
kind
But then on the way back, it's like we have a repeat.
of. Yeah.
It's like if we can cut out the getting to and leaving from, we'd have the perfect vacation. So that's like kind of the thing that happens. Now, the way this comes across is like, again, since I have to do everything, I'm the one who's driving. If we're going to go someplace, I'm driving,
Right.
type of a
Yep.
thing. And if I happen to let you drive, you will follow my instructions. Like you're going to go the way I tell you to go.
Yep.
Um, so, but like, there's also like this tremendous amount of pride in the family too. Like, I'm happy that I raised a family. I'm proud that I'm, perpetuating, the family and, continuing on, passing down the traditions and stuff like that. And it's funny because I feel like if he has siblings or had siblings, they'd be so much more relaxed than he is.
It's probably true. Yeah, he had a big family, Irish family. So he had a lot of brothers and sisters. I'm not sure if he was the youngest brother or not, but yeah.
But
Like,
because like I'm being shown a lot of people above him, so this would be like normally brothers come to me side to side, but if they're like older brothers, they would come above him,
yeah.
right? Because like as an example, me and my brother are 10 years apart, right? So if someone was going to read me, they'd see my brother on a level above me, and then my parents.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think he was the youngest of all the boys. I'm not sure about the girls, but he was definitely one of the younger ones.
So, but like I'm being shown, like everyone, like the way it comes through is like, and again, this is just all symbology. So you may have to like translate it, but it's like I can see everyone else, in the family, all the other guys and any other girls or whatever, just kind of sitting on a lawn chair and just relaxing, type of a thing. Everything's fine, and then there's dad, running around like making sure everything is the way it needs to be to his satisfaction. That's the way it comes across. So that just kind of shows like he's the more aggressive one and they're the more laid back ones.
Yeah.
That's the way that would come through. Um, Now, was your mom his second wife? Because I'm being shown that there was someone who came before mom.
Ooh, not that I know of, though I could be wrong. I don't know. I
Okay.
think he was the only one. I don't know.
Because this is being shown is like he married before her, and I don't know if this was like something that happened super young. It lasted for a very short period of time, and then they're like, no, we're not doing this. Um, but I feel like he was pressured into it. Like this is something that somebody expected him to do. Okay. I don't know if you have anybody who's, I don't know if you have any older siblings that may be able to confirm some of this, or aunts and uncles that may be able to confirm some of this. But like I said, the way he's coming through is like, yeah, definitely. Um, I was pressured, like almost like I thought I made a mistake, found out I didn't make a mistake, and now it's already done.
It's possible. I could find out. Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Because it's like the way it comes through is like especially like back then the tradition was if you got somebody pregnant you married them. So I
Right.
kind of feel like maybe that's could be something like that. I don't see that there was another kid involved, but there could have been like she could have said that she was pregnant, and then they made all these plans to do something. I don't know if he actually got married, but um I know that like because I'm being shown two wedding rings.
Hmm. Now, was it? Do you get a feeling it was at the same time, around the same time? It was like two people, that my mom and somebody else he was choosing between?
Well, he said it was no contest. He goes, your mom
Oh.
would definitely would have won out. He said, I didn't really want anything to do with this other
Hmm.
girl, this other woman. It just happened. And then, obviously after that he met your mom, and then, he went with your mom. Um I don't know if Dad had a sense of humor in when he was alive, but he's actually starting to crack a few jokes. You know, because like the way like, in the way it comes across is like I'm trying to, in death I'm trying to be not the way I was in life.
Yeah.
Okay, he's like,
He had that ability when he was relaxing himself, but like you said, a lot of times he's in control, wants everything to be uh, calm and yeah. But when he was relaxed, he'd have a drink or something. He'd be more gregarious, outgoing. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like it was very, very hard for him to have anybody come over, like come to the house. Like if not like people weren't allowed to come over, but like he would almost like it's almost like certain parts of the house people wouldn't be allowed in because like it's like his part of the house. Like I mean, obviously like a parent's bedroom would be off limits, but like
Right.
I feel like in order for me to allow someone to come over, I needed to know who they are, how long, who they are, what, why they're coming over, how long they're planning on staying, and stuff like that. Like I don't feel comfortable having a lot of people in my home.
Yeah, they didn't entertain a lot. They would go out. I don't
Right.
remember
Because
how
I don't
many.
like people coming into my home.
Yeah, it's probably right because they always would go out and do something outside. They never were home. Yeah.
Now he's coming, and I want you to know that number one, I never judge, and number two, I never mean to be offensive. So
Sure.
please don't take this, as any type of disrespectful. But the way he's coming through was that he feels like there was a tradition or two or three that is not being followed in the family currently on your side. Like I don't know if you were ever in the military, um, but the way it's coming through was like I would have liked to see my son have some of the same experiences that I did. And again, I'm seeing the military uniform. So I don't know if you were in the military or not.
No,
Um,
I wasn't.
you were
I
not.
had no, I had asthma, so it was probably would have been thrown out anyway.
Okay.
Get in. Yeah.
Because when it comes through, it's like I really wish that you had, like I really wish he had that chance. It's like I kind of feel like this is the way we would instill discipline, stuff like
Mm.
that. Um, Now I don't know if any of your brothers joined, but he's making. No, I'm sorry. Wow. All right, getting my wires crossed here. Give me a second. So
Sure.
one of his brothers also was in the military. Okay, and it feels like this is an older brother. I mean, obviously since he's the youngest, but this is like the oldest brother was in the military, and it was almost like I wanted when I went into the military, it was my hope that I would get a chance to see my brother,
Ah.
and the military was like, yeah, about that. It's kind of like there was always like this distance. Like if they saw each other, it would be during like a time of leave or anything like that. But when on active duty, they really didn't interact. Like feel like I'm being shown like a physical distance between the two. So I don't know if that makes sense to you. That may be something you may need to
Yeah,
validate.
they were always distanced.
Okay.
Yeah. Um,
So that's definitely coming through. Um, and I don't know if he had. I don't know if you have any brothers or sisters, but he's being shown like I'm being shown. I don't know if this is someone who like is your brother or would have been so close to the family that would have been like considered like your brother, but he's showing like an immense gratitude that like this other person was in his life as almost like another kid.
hmm. Yeah, I did have an older brother who happened to be in the army,
Okay.
but I think it's,
So you
uh,
had an older brother that was in the army. This would fit.
yeah, yeah.
This would fit. But I also feel like alongside that, there's somebody else that would have been like maybe your best friend or his best friend's kid that he was almost kind of like a father figure to. Like, in other words, like I feel I'm very happy that I know this kid because I'm happy that my kids are associating with this kid.
Hmm. Wow. It's interesting because they didn't like a few friends I went to high school with. So.
So, but we're bringing back. Where I'm going back younger. I'm talking about like elementary school to like elementary school, junior high age. I'm talking like almost preteen.
Huh. Wow.
Like, because I feel like he was a lot happier during that time. Like he was, it was more like as the older he got, the more he needed to hold on to those reins more stiffly
Hmm.
and more tightly. I feel like, like he's showing me like I'm more laid back. I'm more laid back. Not like he's super laid back,
Right.
but he's a little bit more laid back. And it's like, okay. And I'm happy that, you know, I approve of this kid that my kid is hanging out with.
Hmm.
That's the way it comes across. You may need to think about
Think-
that a little bit.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay, so enough about me. He goes, let's just talk about you a little bit. He goes, first and foremost, he said, he's mentioning something changing with job. So is there
Yeah.
something going on in your job that's changing for you?
Yeah, I was just laid off my job, so I'm looking at changing careers and trying to explore an avenue, which may be a little bit similar to him. He changed a lot of jobs until he found something he really was happy and passionate about. It's something that I guess was one of his core values.
Right. Um, I don't know how to describe, like, I'm going to describe this to the best of my ability, but I don't understand this because I don't understand how this would work. But I'm being shown you being involved with money, but it's like other people's money. But you're not like you're working at a bank or you're working at or being a fiduciary. It's like you're in charge of somebody's money.
Hmm.
Okay. I feel like in a way, like someone's going to give you money, then you're going to give that money to somebody else.
Like I make a business decision for them or investment or something.
Could be, yeah, something along those lines. Like again, I don't feel like you're being. I don't see you like behind like a teller window and like in the bank, or even in one of those little glass cubicles that they have that you
Hmm.
see them using the Windex on 10 times a day. I feel like this is something where you are going to be like the middleman with money. Someone's going to be giving you money, and then you're going to be giving someone else
So as a career
money.
or oh,
I feel like this is something that this is gonna be an intermediary career, meaning like this is gonna be like a stepping stone to something else. But he's not telling me what that something else is. He goes, my son will know in time what it is he's supposed to do rather than what he wants to do.
oh,
Like the way this comes across as, dad comes across like I'm not giving any more answers than I need to. This is kind of like I always expected my kids to be independent and figure it out on their own.
definitely. Yeah.
He goes, but the way I'm definitely seeing I'm seeing, the green dollar bills. I'm seeing money. Um, yeah, boy, now the dogs are barking. I don't know if you can hear them or not, and I
Yeah.
hope not.
That's okay. Yeah, I hear a little
Um,
bit.
okay, hold on. I'm just gonna mute this for just a
Okay,
second.
sure, sure.
Oh, thank God. Okay. Um, but yeah, he's all about you need to figure that out, right? He's like, I'm not gonna take you and put you there. It's like I'll give you advice, but what it is that you're going to end up doing is your decision, and you already know what it is you're supposed to do. He says as long as he says the only thing that he wants that he's very very strict about is like you will provide for the family. He's like that is the way things are done. He's like you are the man of the house. You will provide for the family, and that's the way it comes through. Now he's bringing me back actually to his passing. Was there like a whole big deal when he passed? Like, was there people who had like a really hard time accepting his passing?
Yeah, my sister did. I think it's because he was ill and he always recovered. And this time he was isolated physically because he had an infection. So people couldn't see him. He always loved to see family, my sister and us, and he
Hmm.
couldn't do that. And so I think he made a conscious decision because it was probably weeks that he just was isolated like that. And I think he decided, I've had enough of this. I can't live the way I want to. I don't want to live at all. So I think
Yeah.
my sister was like, okay, I can't deal with that. he can't deal with it. I can't deal with it. I remember going to him trying to give him some food because he stopped eating, and of course they're not going to force feed him. But he'd already made the conscious decision. This is what I'm going to do. This is my path. You just have to accept it. Too bad. So I think definitely my sister's that way. My kids, I think, also were trying to reconnect with him, more time with him, and I think it was hard for them as well because they're young adults trying to share what their life was with him, and he, of course, was not there for them for that portion. So might be hard on them as well.
Yeah, well, the way that this is coming through, especially since this reading is for you, it's like I feel like somebody started going towards a dark place after I passed. It's like it, he doesn't actually regret passing. He's like, you know what? I kind of welcomed this. He's like, and it's not that I didn't care about the way it was going to affect everybody else. He goes, but he's like, I'm not going to die a shell of the person that I used to be.
Mm.
That was like his big thing. But he's like, he's showing me like people younger than him. So this would have been his kids. He's, one of them, and he's not showing me which one, but one of them really going into a really dark place, like very, very depressive. I don't know if they started drinking or anything else, but it was like this person had a very, very hard time moving forward. And even though they have accepted the death, in other words, they understand that he's gone, he's not coming back, this happened, still having a hard time moving on. Like, this is not something I can talk about because it's too emotional for me. I can't. I've done so much work to bury this and keep this down that for me to actually talk about it, I feel like this would break this person.
Mm. Yeah. See, that's why too. I mean, my sister, my brother, uh, very potential.
Okay, because I'm trying to figure out who's like the real drinker because like I'm seeing alcohol, I'm seeing beer bottles, which is just my symbol for alcohol. I mean, it could have been hard liquor. I don't
Right,
know.
right, right. Yeah, it could have been my sister. Could have been.
Okay.
I know she was very close to him. She took care of him, so it was probably very hard on her.
Yeah, because it's like there's one that this really like devastated, and another person where it's like it's almost like this person was almost numb.
It's probably my brother. He's like that numb.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was like being in shock forever. Is like the way it kind of way it comes across. Like he's describing it. He's like, on one hand, I've got I've got an emotional basket case. That's not his words, my words, but that's the way he's showing it. And then I've got someone who's like a statue. He's like, I've got two polar opposites, and he's like, I don't know who I need to comfort first. But the funny thing is like um, when your mom comes through, his wife comes through. It was like the way she said, like the way that she's saying things is like she was the balancing point. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
she was the one that would just bring balance to everything. So when he got into whatever moods he got into, especially if things weren't going exactly the way he wanted them to, she'd be the one that would be able to kind of pull him back, and calm him
Yeah.
down and be like, look, you just need to relax, type of a thing. And she was no slouch. Like, she's also someone who demanded to be respected. If she told you to do something, she expected it done. She wasn't going to tell you twice. But at the same time, she also comes across as very, very sweet and nurturing.
Yeah. Yep. She was like a peacemaker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so that's the way that she comes across. And whew, um, I don't know why, but I'm being drawn. That's with her. I'm being drawn to to my back. So this could be like any organs that would be around like the back area or accessible from the back. So this could be kidneys. This could be heart. I mean, not heart. Lungs. But I feel like there's like something going wrong, like in my upper body above my stomach, that's causing some sort of issue. But I feel disoriented as well.
Hmm.
Like I feel like I'm having a hard time making choices and making decisions. This is the way that she comes through, like with her passing. And it's also like I am having a hard time moving. Like for me to be able to get up and move is taking a lot more effort than it should have. Is any of this making sense to you?
With my mom?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Get a move. Yeah, her health was not the best at the end for moving around and stuff. And her memory obviously was going, so that may be the head part of it.
Okay,
Um,
because I feel like I can't. I'm having a hard time making a choice. It's like almost like I can see what's in front of me, but what's in front of me doesn't make sense. Like I can't, like if I was holding up, if I saw this cell phone, I would like, I know what that is, but it's gonna take me a minute to recognize it, and then another minute to know what to do with it.
yeah, she had dementia that got worse and worse and worse as she got
Okay.
older. So um, to the point where it's hard. She may recognize me, but not remember I was her son, as an example, or my kids. You know.
Right. Um, because like when she comes through, she's also like there's things in her body that are shutting down. And I think that might be what I'm being drawn like towards the back because like the kidney area would be in your back. Part of your lungs are, towards the back. Um, like when the doctor listens to your lungs, he always puts the
Right.
the, the, the thing behind your back. I feel like those are starting to fail. I feel like systematically one thing after another is starting to fail.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I didn't know a lot about her health, but now you're mentioning it, my sister told me after her passing that she had a lot of health problems or accumulating and building up that she couldn't control.
But like the way she comes across now is, in death, it's like I see her, almost like running around, jumping and skipping, like I'm free. Nothing bothers me, and I can breathe, and I know what's going on. I know who's around me. Do you know that mom and dad are together in death as they were in life?
Oh, that's good
Because
to
they
know.
do come. Like it took a minute because dad was like, "I'm going first," um, and then when mom stepped forward, was like, "Honey, take a break," um, But then they held hands. So meaning, that they are still a
Together
force to be
again.
reckoned with on the other side. Um, so there's that. But she comes like when she comes across, it's like I always feel like I'm at peace. It's like I always feel like I'm calm and I'm not going to let things rattle me. I feel like I need to maintain calm and be in my quote unquote Zen place. Um, because if I don't, then everything's just going to spiral out of control. And I feel like I need to be the barrier. I need to be the go-between my kids and my husband.
She did do that.
Okay,
She
it's
did
kind of
it.
like
Yeah.
if you wanted to ask dad something, you should probably come to me first,
Yeah.
type of a thing. If you want dad's permission for something, come to me first, ask me, and then I'll ask dad, and if this is something you really want, I'll make it work.
Yeah, yeah. That's triangulation. Yep, they would do that definitely.
Um, so yeah, that definitely comes through. But like with her, the expression of love, the feeling of love is just so apparent. Like where he comes through very, very, almost closed off, like very, very stern and very, very authoritative, and I'm a man, I don't show my emotions. And then you have the direct opposite. You've got mom who's like kind of very emotional.
Yep.
But like she just keeps pouring love and pouring love and pouring love out. Like, no matter what is going on in your life, just always know that nothing could ever take my love away from you. You know, that's the
Well,
way that,
that's one thing I was gonna kind of find with her. There was a point in my life where my wife was ill and she didn't want any of my family around, and so my mother wasn't as involved with the raising of my kids, and I always felt bad about that with her.
no, she says, excuse me. Just want to get some water.
Sure.
Um, No, she said, the way that your mom comes through is like, listen, she goes, nothing you could do could ever take away my love for you. In fact, she sees it as like she understands. She's like, for the way that it would be, because I'm the kind of person that would want to bring balance, I would end up unbalancing everybody if I was there.
Hmm.
That's the way she comes across, because even though she is the kind of person who wants to be accommodating, she wants to be helpful, and she's like the person that wants to make everything okay, she's also very, very set in her ways in the way that she did things. So now you've got her routine clashing with somebody else's routine,
Hmm.
and this would have caused more tension than necessary.
Well, she had a lot of empathy, so she could really pick up on other people and would never want to do any harm.
it wouldn't have been intentional. It's like it would just be like two people who who just don't belong in around each other, especially during a time of stress, right? If someone else is ill, and someone doesn't want someone else there, it's probably just because either one person feels like someone else is going to take over control, or there's going to be some sort of a clash. And the way your mom is describing it is like this would have been more on her, meaning your mom, rather than with your wife.
Huh. Wow. Interesting.
And it just becomes across that because again, your wife has her routine and she has like the way that she likes things done, and your mom has her way of wanting things done, and those two won't always jive, right? So like for her, there was disappointment. It's not like, oh, this doesn't affect me. There's disappointment and sadness, but it doesn't detract from my understanding. It's like I understand.
She's accepting of it. It sounds like.
Yeah. So it's like she's like, I'm okay with this. She goes, I wish it could have been different, but if things had turned out differently, it would have put you in a very bad situation, because it would be almost like having to choose between mom and choosing between your wife, as far as like who's who. I know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to get the words out. It's like your wife would be like, I want this done, and then your mom's like, no, you should do this, and like you have to make a choice between like which one you're going to listen to, and this is just it. And your mom's exact words are, "This is absurd."
Wow.
So, again, as she may have been the peacemaker in the family and wanting to be accommodating, but this is her way of being like, I completely understand. This is not something that I needed to be involved with. Not that she didn't miss you and she didn't miss the kids. I also know that Austin was very close with her.
Yeah.
Because she comes around for Austin a lot.
Is that right?
Yeah, she does. And she talks about his childhood a lot. She talks about a lot of things. But for you, it's more like, my boy is a man, and I'm very proud of him as a man. And I just have this outpouring of love, and wanting you to know that even when she passed, even though she wasn't all here, she was all here.
That's good to know. Yeah.
Okay. So she's definitely bringing that through. Um, I've seen these things before, but I don't know how to describe them. She's making mention of like collectible type things. Okay, so we're talking like, it's almost like it's something like that would be painted on, but it's not a canvas. This is not like a painting you would hang up. God, my parents used to have one, because oh yeah, okay. I'll bring you something that's kind of similar. It's not exactly what I'm talking about, but it's something similar.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like it's like I would collect some odd things. Like this is something that my mom had collected, but I feel like this is like a collectible, or just having like, she liked to just collect random things, as the way that she like this is being shown. I would buy random things. I'd have like things around the house. I always like to get something new. It's like if I thought something belonged someplace, I went out and I got it so that it would be there. So like when she comes through, it's like, I like those things, but she's also bringing me to like something that would be similar to that, like in that category, that would have been rather significant to her or sentimental to her, and it's like almost like, why would this be thrown out?
Hmm. Well, I know she used to make and with my dad Japanese dolls. So
Okay.
and obviously that's very specific to my heritage and my upbringing, versus my wife's nothing to do with
Right.
any of that stuff.
Yeah, but I feel, yeah, okay, so that would still fit. I mean, obviously it's not like that, but like, my point is, this is not like a picture type thing. This
Right.
is, something that would have been something different. But I'm being shown like, it's almost like I'm being shown. It's like something small with like the picture of an animal on it. Like
Hmm.
maybe we had like a family dog or a family pet, and we have something to commemorate the family pet. But I don't know why after I passed why this was thrown out.
Hmm. I have to think about that one. Hmm.
Okay, and I don't know why like some of the other things that I had, like the things that I made, things that people would know that are important to me that just got discarded. Not that she's angry about it. It's more like this is not what I would have expected. Because when they're there, they don't care about the material.
Right.
When they pass on, they don't care about material. But it's kind of like almost like seeing something amusing on TV, someone doing something totally unexpected on TV, and it's amusing. So for her, this is kind of like confusing and amusing. Like, why would you do this? And I feel like this may not have anything to do with you, but may have to do like with your sister. So who was the one who like after?
Oh, that was definitely my sister. What comes to my mind was they had a tradition of buying Christmas bulbs every year, something new and different. But my sister was in charge of all the material things, so she got rid of them all, and I didn't get anything from that, which would have been not. And it's not much money, but to me, it was significant. It's a tradition that we always had that I never got to share with my kids from them. And my sister made the decision without me. So
Gotcha. Okay, so that fits then. Okay,
yeah, it fits. Yeah.
all right. So and she's like, I'm just so confused as to why this would be done. Um, like the way that she comes across. Um, hmm, this is funny. It's like I don't know if this is going to make sense because I feel like I'm going to get this wrong. I feel like I'm about to touch the tip of the iceberg with this, but I'm not actually getting what she's trying to convey. Um, like what came to mind was I'm the kind of person who likes to eat, but I'm not the kind of person who likes to cook.
She would cook, but the older she got, the less she wanted to cook. But she loved to eat,
Okay.
loved to shop. Yeah.
Okay. So there was that, but she's like, I've also developed an appreciation for sweet things.
Oh yeah, she had a sweet tooth. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I always feel like if someone would go to visit her, she'd have like this little bowl that would have candies in them. And it's kind of funny because my grandmother and my aunt, they always used to have those strawberry candies,
Yeah.
the strawberry wrapper. I don't know what they
Yep.
are. And they're
Yep.
funny because you can never find them in the store, but you can always find them at grandma's house. So I think it's like the grandmother fairy comes in when you become a grandma, and they deposit this bag of of candies.
Yeah. He was a diabetic, and she'd always say, "I can have just a little bit. It won't hurt me."
Yeah,
But especially the sweets, or it would be terrible for her. But
yeah, a little bit turned into like 5, 6, or 7 of
exactly,
them.
just a little bit, like ice cream. Yeah, just a little bit. Well, that's 3 scoops. That's not.
Yeah. So when she's like, but understand that I'm not gonna let whatever ails me hold me back. She goes, one of the
Yep.
things that is the biggest thing for her was always about living life to the fullest.
Uh,
Now, while she didn't really feel like she needed to have control over her passing, like your dad does, it's like they had your dad and your mom had two very, very different ideas of living life to the fullest. Like your mom would just experience life as it came, right? Like
yep.
your mom would just
Yep.
be like, kind of go with the flow, and this is what's coming to me, and I'll
Yep.
handle it. This is the
Yeah.
experience.
Absolutely.
And dad is like, at 7 o'clock in the morning, my eyes will open. At 7:05 in the morning, I will go take a shower, and at 7:25 in the morning, I'm having my breakfast. It's like every single moment was planned out.
It's regimented, and it better be that way, or if someone's going to pay, yeah,
Yeah. Yep. So it's kind of like it's kind of funny. It's like I'm seeing polar opposite people.
they were totally opposites. Yes.
But the funny thing is like because they were opposite, it worked. And it's like mom knew in dad's own way of expressing himself that he loved her. It may not be
Yeah.
something that would have been like a verbal thing. And I mean, obviously there was physical moments, otherwise we wouldn't be having this conversation. But um, there would be certain things that he would do that would be almost like, how do I put this? The only person that would pick up on his intentions of it would be your mom.
Yeah, she would explain to me sometimes why he did it, but he loved me, cared about, but this is him. And
Right.
so she had to explain it to me because I'd be like, "What are you doing? Why is he doing this?" Well, this is why you have to understand. He loves you, but This is who he is. So accept it.
Yeah, but I also feel like that, this is like the way that she's saying is like, like how, friends have like inside jokes
Yeah.
and stuff like that. They'd have inside moments where it's like if he did a certain something, that was like his way of saying I love you.
Yeah.
Or his way of saying, hey, I'm thinking about you. He's not the kind of person that would bring home roses,
Right.
but he would do
Yep.
something else. And I don't know what
You're
this
yeah.
something else is.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. He would do that. He would. Food would be one thing because she loved to eat,
Hmm.
or little things. Yeah. Yeah. It also is a kind of a gift offering. Sometimes he knew he was made a mistake,
Hmm.
and so he'd do something nice. But he wouldn't say it. It wouldn't be, "I'm sorry." It's like, "Here,
Here.
take it." Yeah, exactly. Here, accept it. You understand? Good. Don't have to talk about it.
Right. Um, okay, yeah, I covered that one with Austin. Like, because your mom is bringing up Austin's early childhood and some things that have happened in Austin's early childhood. And, Austin has explained to me why he didn't tell anybody about it. But your mom wants you to know that if she had known, she would have dealt with it.
Ah, interesting.
Um, I don't understand why. I mean, beyond the obvious, I don't understand why she would say what she just said. So,
Well, it's
well,
interesting because I don't always see my mom as the one that would stand up and fight. She's always, I see her as a peacemaker. Um, but I mean,
oh, but
Austin didn't tell us what was going on, So
right, she didn't. Austin didn't tell you, and he didn't tell his grandmother.
right, he
And
told none of us, so none of us knew what was going on. Had we known, I would have probably been like my dad.
yes, because you and your dad share a very similar personality, except you have learned to kind of calm down on it. Like you're
Right.
not as strict and authoritative as he is. Um, you do have some of his personality traits. This actually came through in Austin's reading that, um, you do take a lot after your dad. But the thing is that uh, it's almost like you've learned some lessons of things not to do by watching your dad.
Right. And also my mom's influence, combination, yeah,
Right. Your
reinforcing.
mom being the peacemaker, but I feel like dad had more of a stronger influence. And you could have been closer with your mom, right? But it was always about, what dad thought and wanting to, make sure I had dad's approval.
Yeah.
That's the way he comes across. He's like, my son always wanted my approval. And the funny thing is he never had to ask for it because he always had it.
Hmm.
He's
Interesting.
like, I never got to say that to him, but he's my son.
Interesting. My mom would tell me that he was, but I would hear it from him. Yeah.
Right. Well, he's saying that directly to you now,
Oh, okay. Great.
just so you
Thanks.
know. Um, in fact, he's the way your mom puts it, he's like, he's such a softie in his old age. Because like when, he's coming across, he still comes across authoritative, but once he's gotten that out of the way and, so that he can prove to you that he's here with you, I kind of feel him like softening up a little bit, just letting go and relaxing. Like I can see him just being calm and peaceful, not like I'm going to take control of this. Because one of the things that he had said to Austin at the end of Austin's reading was about how proud he was of Austin and said, after everything that Austin went through, the way that Austin is keeping it together. And not only that, but moving forward and progressing in his life, he says he doesn't feel like he would have been able to do that in Austin's shoes.
Interesting. Yeah, he was a hard shell outside, tough, but he was a mushy person inside if he
Hmm.
let you in. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's definitely that feeling there. But your mom, she's like, I feel like I'm the translator. I'm the translator between my kids and everyone else and my husband. Um, I made a joke in my head that I was going to call your mom Rosetta Stone when she said that, but then she's like, "Don't you dare call me that." Um, so, but anyway, they're acknowledging the difficulties that you're going through right now, and it's like job is not the only thing that's going on that's a bit difficult. Like there's like this feeling of, I don't know why, but there's like almost like a tenseness at home, like you're waiting for something to happen and it's not happening, and this is something outside of job. It's kind of like, I really want this to happen, or I really want to be able to do this, but I can't do this until something else happens first, which would make sense if that's if the job happens first, then being able to do something. But it's like, I feel like I'm holding on, or I'm waiting to do something.
Yeah, I guess what I'm getting out of that is I'm looking to transition to retirement, and before it was always, it was something that happened. Whereas now, I'm having there's more to retirement than just picking a place to live. It's a
Hmm.
lifestyle change, and that's what I'm adjusting to is moving forward that new lifestyle. It's not focused on work, but more focused on family and relaxing and enjoying life a little bit more.
Well, I'm seeing the number 10, which this could mean retirement's coming. The first thing that came to my mind was 10 years. Um, that was the first thing, like, true retirement, not having to get a job or anything like that, or do anything, to bring in extra income. I was seeing the number 10, which to me would probably indicate like 10 years.
Not 10 months.
Yeah, not 10 months. I'm sorry. So, I mean, it could be 10 months, but I don't feel like it's 10 months because I'm being shown this, which is like when they're showing me the 10 and they're going like this,
It's
it,
extended
it's
beyond.
extended.
Yeah.
Um, so, I mean, hey, it could be 10 years in October. You never know, because that's the 10th month. But number 10, 10 will be significant with that as far as you going
You
into
just
retirement.
stretch it out a little longer, maybe
Mhm.
less involved, but stretching out.
Right. Because like I said, I feel like that there's at least two more jobs or careers coming your way before you retire.
Oh,
We
okay.
talked about the one with you being like the middleman with money. And like, I don't see it being anything shady. Like, I don't see you joining the mafia. But it's like, I'm being paid to I'm given this money. I have to do something with this money, and then I have to give this money over to somebody else. And then this is not just a one person thing. This is like, I'm being paid to do this for multiple people. So maybe you're a financial advisor, or maybe you're going to be doing some sort of courier, being a courier of some sort of with financial stuff. I don't know. It's just, I'm seeing money, and whatever it is has to do with money. This is not about you receiving money for yourself, though. This is like, person A is giving you money, and you have to do something with this money, and then you take this money and you bring it over here.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way that comes across, and that's something that I feel like you'll stick with for maybe a year. 1 to 3, maybe 4, 5 if you really enjoy it. But then after that, you're gonna be like, I'm kind of done with this. I kind of don't feel like I don't feel like I can move forward from this being where I am. I need to find something else.
Interesting. I always thought it'd be more healthcare related, wellness kind of stuff versus
You may go
business.
down that road later, but there's something that has to do with money first that you're going to be doing.
Mortgaging or loans or something. Money.
Could be, could be. Hell, you could be selling insurance for all I know.
Oh
Um,
God, no.
no, I don't see that. But like I said, all I just see is the movement of money, the flow
Money.
of money. So maybe you may be dealing with the investments for the elderly. And then, because that would actually make sense, because if like someone's putting in a will or something like that, and or putting together like a trust fund or a will. I mean, not a will, oh God, what do they call those things? It's like you're putting money in an account for someone else for them to have later. I don't know what the actual term of it is. I'm
Yeah.
drawing a
I
blank.
look at investment. I'm looking at escrow.
Could be, yeah, something like that. It's kind of like, but you're going to be helping people to make those decisions, and then they will give you the money, and then you will be giving that money to somebody else, so that money gets where it has to go.
But it's
Finally,
more individual versus businesses, like business
yes,
investment. Yeah. Huh,
yeah.
interesting.
So that's where I see it. Now, mind you, you may choose to not do that at all. I mean, just because they're setting up that stage doesn't mean you're
All
going to
right.
get up there and act.
Right.
Okay,
Gotcha.
they can't force you to do this.
Right.
This is based on decisions that you make. So they can open that door, they can guide you towards that, but if this is not something that you really want to do and you walk away from it, they can't do anything or say anything about it.
Is that something that the spiritual world can help manifest in the real world for us? I have
Of
no idea.
jobs,
Yeah,
careers?
jobs or
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
networking, open things like that up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, the way that I describe it, is kind of like if you think of like a Broadway theater stage, right? They could set the stage, they can bring in the audience, right? They can, they'll handle everything. They'll make sure that everything is ready, but thing that they can't make you do is get up on that stage and
Perform.
perform.
Interesting. Hmm.
So, a lot of times, this is just my opinion, the way that I look at things. A lot of people will pray to God, or
Right.
whatever gods they believe in, gods, etc., that they believe in, but it's almost like God's like, okay, I get this, and then it's like, you know what? Hey, this is me saying this. Hey, dead people, make this happen, type of a thing.
Well, what kind of came to my mind, one question I was going to ask you, because I guess you'd be the
Sure.
person to ask, because I always saw a connection. You're talking about God, the Holy Spirit, and my mom kind of communicating and
Your mom
helping.
is not the Virgin Mary.
No, I didn't say no. But you have someone who speaks on your behalf, says, "Hey,
Hmm.
this would be nice if you could help him out in this
Hmm.
way," like a mom, but you know,
Well,
in
yeah.
the
So
world.
when we die, like, actually, when we're alive, we'll get to the dying part later. Um,
Hopefully, yes.
from the minute we're born, we have guardian spirits. Like, you can think of them as guardian angels, if that helps you,
Right,
depending on what it is you believe in.
right.
But they're with us, and some of them speak for us, and some of them protect us. Some of them help open up opportunities for us. Okay, because everybody has an army that follows them, and it's usually relatives or people that were close to them, and sometimes people they have no idea who they are. When I first started doing this, I would tell people names, and I would give people names, and like, I have no idea who that is. And I'm like, go trace back your family tree. And then I get somebody towards the roots. And this is something that would happen for like 3 or 4 years, that I would get people all the way down there, from the beginnings of the family. And everyone else is like, I have no idea who you're talking about. And I'm like, well, um, late, as of late, more I've been getting people that are a little bit closer, to the generation that you're in. So this would be like your mom, your dad. If you had siblings who had passed, or cousins or friends or whatnot, they would be the ones to more step through, or step forward. But yeah, that's really the way that works. And then as you go through life, they change jobs, right? Like, whoever it is that's following you, like, it's not like this one entity or one spirit has this job forever, right? It's like, so for now, your dad could be talking for you, but then let's say 10 days from now, it could be your mom.
Okay.
Okay, and now your dad's working to set things up for you. Okay, or your dad's protecting you from something, stuff like that. Um, I don't know why. Do you suffer from high blood pressure? Because I'm being shown a blood pressure cuff.
I did, but I'm diet and exercising, and so trying to do things more naturally.
Yeah,
So,
because I
but
asked about health. I asked them about your health,
yeah,
and the first thing I saw was the blood pressure cuff, saying that your blood pressure needs to be controlled, and um, we're getting to the age where we need to avoid overly stressful situations, right? Like, if there's something that's not in our control, let's not try to control it, right? It's kind of like, let's whatever will be, and I will control, whatever in my sphere of influence, and whatever happens when that happens. Like, don't sweat the small stuff. Don't make mountains out of molehills,
uh,
type of thing. This is the way that this is coming through. It's like, you need to relax. You need to try to keep yourself as calm as possible, um, because they're being warned that, should you do that, what you're doing now won't regulate your blood pressure. You'll end up going on medication. The first medication that you'll be given won't work, so then they're going to give you something else. But the thing is that they're supposed to wait between giving you pill A and pill B, and if they interact, that can cause all sorts of other problems. So I'm being shown, like, you really need to work on maintaining, and
your health.
your health and your blood pressure, especially your blood pressure. Like, I don't see this being a heart issue. I see this just being an overall blood pressure thing, and it's like, if this gets out of control and it gets too high, this could cause a stroke. This could cause, other things. So I'm not trying to scare you, but I am
Right.
being shown you need to take a step back, right, and just
Relax.
relax. And it's like, the way both mom and dad are coming across, because it's almost like they're talking to each other and then me. It's like, the way it's coming across is like, dad's like, my controlling personality is shining through in a way with you, where it's like, there's certain things you expect, and it's like, until you reach that goal, you're not ready to back off. And dad's like, you need to back off. Okay, that doesn't mean you sit around and do nothing.
Right.
But it just means like if things aren't going your way, the way that you want them to, there's a reason for that. And if you stop and look at the reason, maybe you'll understand that this is not the time for this to happen.
That makes sense. Pretty good sense. Yep.
Okay. So, as an example, let's say you want to put an extension on the house, just as an example, and you're getting all these obstacles. You can't find a contractor to do it. And then there's permits, and then you're not getting the CO, and you're not getting all this other stuff at the right time. This is like the powers that be telling you you're focusing on the wrong thing. Put your attention somewhere else, something else that needs more immediate attention, and that might be more satisfying for you. Okay, so I hope that makes sense for you.
Perfect, good sense. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I was pursuing one career, just pushing and pushing, pushing it because of the money, and I realized it's just not happening. So,
Right. So this is like that's their way of saying, listen, how long do you want to bang your head against a wall? So they're referencing that. I don't know why I keep seeing a dog, and I don't know why I'm seeing a dog. And it's just to me a generic symbol for a dog. So it's not like I could tell you what kind of dog it was. But was there like a very, very close family pet, especially when mom and dad were alive?
in our family, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Because I keep being like shown reference to the dog, and it's kind of like the way it comes through is that mom and dad disagree on how the dog really passed.
Oh, wow.
Like dad kind of feels like it was just the dog's time, and no matter whatever health issues were surrounding it, but it was just the dog's time. And mom was like, but we didn't do enough. We could have done this. We could have extended the dog's life. Maybe if we had just done things differently, we could have provided for something, like had the dog would have had a better life or a longer life. So it's like there's like a feeling of guilt about that with mom, but dad's just kind of like, it's a dog and it lasts. The dog only live a certain amount of
As
years.
my dog or my mom, in fact, we all had dogs, so I was just curious.
Like I said, I'm just seeing a generic symbol
Just
for a
as a
dog.
dog, wow, wow.
But I feel like that this dog, everybody in the family would have been close to.
Oh, okay, yes, yeah, we did have a family dog. It was that way, yeah.
Yeah, this dog would be somebody that everybody in the family loved. Like
Yeah,
he was everybody's dog.
yeah,
And when this dog passed, like because I'm seeing them with a dog, but when the dog passed, it was kind of like, okay, I'm being shown like there's like some sort of health issue that
yeah,
revolved around it.
yeah.
But at the same time, it's kind of like not wanting to accept that there was a health issue that's actually caused it. Like, so there's something we could have done,
Yeah.
but we chose not to.
Yeah, there was a growing up. We had a dog. It had some illnesses, and I think they could have operated it, but who knows how long it would have extended. My dad just let it go. Suffering now, just let it go. I think that was always a tough decision, just to let it be past. Try to operate, would just prolong the suffering. Sure. Yeah.
So
Yep.
so there's like this feeling about it. It's kind of like
Oh.
it's like one of those things. Like if mom and dad were still arguing, this is something mom and dad would still argue about, right?
Yep. Yeah.
But like when I see them and I see them coming through again, and I see them holding hands, but then when I actually looked, I actually saw like a dog with them.
Hmm.
So there's
Yeah.
something of like the shape of a dog. So just know that that dog is with them.
Oh, it could be another dog too. My dad had a very close dog, very, very close to him.
But it was close to both of them. This would have been close to both of them.
Okay.
So then this is the dog we were previously talking
Yeah.
about, but this is
Yeah.
the dog that's there with them together.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know the dogs just being
Well, it's all
afterlife.
energy. So
Yeah.
when we die, we're just energy, and we get released back to wherever it is we go, and then when we come back, we're energy again. And so even though like a soul or a spirit is just energy, it's really all it is. So that dog's life force, that dog's energy
Still with them. Wow.
could still be with them.
And wow, that's interesting. Hmm.
So yeah, the dog So
The
the thing is,
dog's with
like the dog's not suffering. Like the dog just seems perfectly content, and like I'm seeing dad and mom petting the dog. But mom, like I'm showing like the tear coming down mom's eye, like you should have been around longer. So yeah, there's definitely the reference to that. Was there any questions you had? Because I know that I brought a lot through, and I know that I touched on a lot of things. But was there anything that you wanted to know?
Well, you answered one about my mom's involvement with my kids growing up. The other one I had was um, well, I just ask it because we talked it a little bit, but for some reason, I just feel like my mom is a very strong advocate and connection for me to not just the spiritual world, but um, God or the Holy Spirit or whatever. And so there was a time when I felt very connected, and then there's now it felt like sometimes it's not as strong. So I don't know if there's a way of investing, having it grow and keeping that bond and communication stronger, or it's just how it
Pray,
works.
pray, and really pray. Um, that's the best way I can say it. Like so, your mom may be your spiritual connection. Like she may be your go-between this life and the next, um, or say this life and the afterlife. But it's all about us, right? Like in our daily day, right? How many things do we are catching our attention during the day? Every minute of every day, we're being bombarded by things, right? So it's really hard, especially when we have responsibilities and things that we have to do, to really be able to take time and just sit there and just be still and try to, like, meditate and try to connect. That's not even saying we even have the successful connection. That's just trying, right? So really for this, like to grow that, it's something that you have to really, really want. Okay, stop being afraid of it. Okay, and really be consistent about it. Like, if praying is your thing, pray. If meditation is your thing, meditate. And really kind of like, and just feel like, you increasing your vibration, your energetic vibration, so that you can connect and have that kind of relationship that you want with whatever it is you believe
Okay. See, I guess that's where some of the confusion comes from, and maybe it's from my dad's influence, but you have the religious Catholic type of thing
in.
of connecting through Jesus Christ
Hmm.
versus more of a spiritual world, which is just the spirit, like my mom or meditating in the spiritual world as a whole. And so that's the confusion point for me is like, is there one over the other one? Is one better than another? Or is there, you can just do it all, or
Do
there's
it
no
all.
right or wrong?
There is no right or wrong, because in every faith, no matter whatever faith you belong to, whether it's the most out there to the most common, right? They all believe in a God. There's like a supreme God, and then you might have gods and goddesses, or also known as angels and archangels and stuff like that. But all of that is energy. All you're really doing is putting labels to different forms of energy.
Just different vibrations, I guess.
Yeah. So it doesn't, like in my faith, because I practice something that's very, very uncommon. Um, when I practice, I do have gods and goddesses that I worship and that I pray to, and that I ask them for things. But then we have the supreme God, and obviously that supreme God has the final say. But I deal a lot more and I work a lot more with spirits, but they're all connected. It's all connected. Everything, it's the energy that binds the universe together, that binds us together, and creates and forms that connection. Right. Like as a medium, it's, I look at myself as one of those old AM, FM radios with the big dial on it, and you're turning the dial till you hit the station. That's my job. I have to, me being the antenna and the radio, finding which vibration works where that I can connect to.
I wish we all have that to a
We
certain
do.
degree. It's
We
just
do.
tuning it. Um, is there any advice more directly that my mom or dad or anybody over there they want to give me that they haven't given me already?
Dad says, like, mom smiled and dad said, like what? He said, you know me, I'm full of opinions.
Okay.
So if there, is there like a specific area that you're looking for advice from, right? That's like going to a mechanic and saying there's something wrong with my car. Well, what's wrong with the car? What do you want fixed, or what do you want done? So if there's a specific area, I can try and tune in and ask about that.
Okay. Well, obviously, it was a little bit was a career, and then the other one is I keep getting this. Uh, I guess playing with, for lack of a better word, holistic spiritual world. Things like Reiki. Sometimes I saw myself a little bit like my dad as a teacher, but
Mhm.
teaching some of those lessons I've learned and continuing growing in some of the healing modalities. So,
So your dad said, in life, I didn't believe in any of that mumbo jumbo. That's exactly what Dad just
I
said.
can't believe that.
But he says, it's not about how you go about doing it; it's about your intentions. So, this is actually something that I'm on a talk show online on Twitch, as on Fridays, and this is something that we've actually talked about a lot. And this is all about intention. So it doesn't matter how you go about doing something; it's about setting a clear intention so that you accomplish your goal. Right.
Hmm,
So if your goal is to get closer or have a better spiritual life, it's not about how you go about doing it. It's about having that clear intention and setting a goal and doing whatever it is you feel is right to achieve that goal.
okay. So
Right.
whatever
It's kind of
fits you.
right. It's like a Reese's. There's no wrong way to eat a Reese's.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. And like the way that they look at it is like the connection that binds all of us, as far as family, is love. So your love for them and their love for you is what binds you and what actually gives you that connection.
Gotcha.
So grow the love in however way you can, but grow the love. Can you give me just one moment? I'm
Sure,
sorry.
sure, sure.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
Nope, nope, that was spam. Um, yeah, so it's, grow the love, and that's really the best way for you to be able to do what you're looking to do.
Could you expand upon that a little bit more? What do you mean by grow to love? I'm not quite sure what you
Okay,
mean.
well, the growing the love is, how you express your love and how you, like, I'm not saying become like a mushy gushy person. That's not what I mean. But I mean like that feeling when you think of mom and dad and the good feelings that you get when you get that, let that grow. Like when you're meditating, try and turn that into something like I use it like a thermometer in a way is the way I look at it. Like when I'm meditating and I'm doing what I do, when I'm like increasing my energy vibration and I'm putting myself in that space where only what I control, what I want to come in will come in. But I picture like a thermometer, and like when I want my energy level to rise, I kind of see like the mercury in it rising. So like actually like I have a visual thing that I can see when I'm setting that goal, and I allow myself to go higher. Meditation classes may help you, but really it's about being still, being quiet, freeing yourself from distractions, setting yourself aside, like setting yourself and your ego aside, and just being open to what's around you. And then you're going to start feeling that connection, and you'll know that you've actually achieved your goal, that once you come out of it you really feel at peace. Okay, not that you just feel calm, but you feel at peace, like nothing's bothering you, nothing's worrying you. The sense that no matter what, everything will work out as it should. Then you'll know you've accomplished your goal.
It makes sense. My meditation helps with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, as far as the Catholic side, I joke around with people. I tell them I'm a recovering Catholic, but and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just
Oh
Catholicism is
yeah,
just not for me.
I understand. I had a hard time with Catholic. My dad was a devout Catholic. So
But it's a different way of doing. It's like again, it's a different way of doing the same thing. It's following a different recipe just to get the same dinner.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that was something I had to learn. It's very rules, regulations. Probably why my dad loved it,
Mm.
and I was not going that way. Okay.
And a tremendous sense of guilt. Um,
Oh yes, that's their main weapon.
yeah,
Weapon, the choice of
yeah.
guidance.
And again, I don't have anything against Catholicism or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm not bashing it. It's just that I know, just like from my own experiences, going through that was, you know, a bit of an issue. So, but yeah, I mean, you really need to find what works for you, and whether that's the meditative side or going to church. You know, there's no right answer for you. This is something that only you would know about, right? So they couldn't even tell you what the best thing to do is because they're going to have their own opinions. And just because they have opinions of it doesn't mean that it's actually the right thing for you. I mean, your mom would steer towards what worked for her, and your dad would steer towards what worked for him.
Yeah, I think that's what I think. I don't know if it's a spiritual concept or principle that we learn the strengths and weaknesses from both parents to make us kind of overcome some of the challenges they had when they were.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But just know that, like, again, like, no matter what it is that you do, you can't do it in the wrong way. Like, whatever it is you're trying to do, you'll do it right because it'll be right for you.
Is there a way of connecting to get uh, confirmation? You said before they were an advocate for you. You're just kind of curious if you said praying to them, but I don't know if there's any other way of. It's obviously one way I see it. I'm going out to them, but how would I receive it? I'm not a media, so how would I know what you're doing is right or you're doing it wrong? Is that
Everybody's a medium because, again, we're, we're all made out of energy, right? So, and that's been scientifically proven. We are made out of energy. So, hold on one second. I'm
sure?
sorry.
No problem.
I'm so sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah, so everyone's a medium because we're all made out of energy. It's just about, belief. It's about allowing yourself to, it's more about accepting yourself first. You really need to be able to accept yourself and, and be comfortable with yourself. And then once you actually get to that spot, then it's about opening it up to what's around you, being able to be comfortable with that, and then just kind of keep expanding that. The direct connection that you want, it's the biggest thing is setting aside your ego because you're like, well, is this something I already know or is this what I'm being told? And that's where faith comes in.
Ah, yeah.
So, like when I'm told things by my guides, it's kind of like, I know that. But then and then I'm like, well, instead of being snotty about it, I can just say, well, this is just confirmation of what I already know.
So it sounds a little bit like Eckhart Tolle. He puts aside the ego and make the direct connection, kind of listen to your intuition or
Mhm.
quiet the mind.
Right. Well, intuition is really what it means is inner tuition or inner knowledge, which is our higher self, however you want to look at it. There's like us and then like the higher us. And when you connect to that higher us, that knows no mistakes. It can't make a mistake. And you'll
Huh.
know. I mean, it's not a sensation I can describe.
You just know
You just
self-confidence.
know.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So it's about taking the time to really practice it. It's like, this is what um this is something that you're really set on doing it, and just understand it takes time. This is not something that you're going to do overnight. So this could take days, weeks, maybe even months for you to even get close to where you want to be.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not to discourage you, but I also want to manage expectations here. Like, I don't want you to think that, oh, if I do this tomorrow, I will have the clearest connection, because some people think that, and it's strange and odd to me, but they do.
Well, that's why I guess I shared a little bit with Austin where I have different cards I use or runes, different, I don't know what you would call them, media help tools, channels to help
Mhm.
reinforce what you feel is a gut feeling. I don't
Yeah, I do tarot for Austin all the time.
know. Yeah. So I've always had, it comes from my mom, I guess. The Japanese are very eclectic. They
Hmm.
take whatever works
Hmm.
and apply it. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
So,
Or maybe create something that's your own instead of
well,
taking it from Japanese or the Irish side or even the American culture. Just find something that works.
Well, I've always had an idea of taking crystals with a little bit of Reiki to kind of open up that vibration, and then using that because I've found that the Reiki energy has an intelligence, but it also has a healing modality to it, and the crystals increase that depending on what crystal you use, that vibration. At least that's what I believe or feel. Anyway.
Yeah, well, I hold this all the time. This is a rock of amethyst.
Oh
So
wow.
I hold on to. I know it's hard to see, but
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, I hold on to this all the time. Whenever I'm working in a spiritual sense, I hold on to this.
I hope you're cleansing it.
It cleanses itself. That's the way I look at it. Like, I put in direct sunlight,
There you
and
go.
or I'll
Yeah,
blow
yeah.
cigar smoke on it because I blow cigar smoke on my tarot cards when I use them.
Is that right?
Hmm. Yeah, it's a form of cleansing.
Cigar smoke. Huh. I've
Yeah.
heard of sunlight. I've heard of water, but I've never heard
Well, I'm not
of.
putting water on my tarot cards.
No, no, no. You're the
Yeah,
crystal. The
yeah.
crystal. Um, I
Yep.
see.
I shotgun the cigar and cleanses the whole space.
Huh.
Cleanses all
Interesting.
my tools.
I didn't think about that. Cleansing my cards. I didn't think about that. That's probably a good
It's a
idea.
thing. A lot of people don't do it. Just like a lot of people will burn sage, but then won't burn incense afterwards,
That's true. Uh,
which
Interesting.
boggles my mind. But then again, I was taught the way, to do it the right way. So, and for that, what I mean by that is all the sage does is it blanks out the energy, right? Like sucks all the energy out of the room. And now you have to replace it with something. But that's the
Huh.
part that people forget.
Yeah, I never heard that. Oh, you use sage for cleansing, but
No,
then you use other incense to fill it.
yep.
Huh.
You use the incense to bring in the positive, to bring in the balance, to
What
bring
what
in.
what incense do you use to do that? Just
It could
curiosity.
really be any incense. I personally use the Three Kings incense. It's just something that I've used for 10 plus years,
Hmm.
and it works for me. And I have the little charcoal, and I put the incense resin on it, and I light the charcoal, and I walk it around. And I used to just do that. I didn't even used to use sage. It's only been within the past, I don't know, 6 months that I use sage, because the incense did the job I was looking for it to do. But now, since I got to learn more about sage, I was like, well, maybe I'll give the sage a shot. And then I was talking to somebody, and like, yeah, just don't forget to use the incense with it.
See, I use sage, but I never, and putting the smoke in all the corners to make sure it clears it up. I never heard about you cleansed it, but now what are you going to backfill it up with?
Yep. And the other thing is that a lot of people, when they go to use sage, the sage and incense, whichever it is you're going to use, or both, is that you sage the place, and then you incense the place, and then you open the windows and let it out.
Hmm. I never heard that one either. Airing it out, but that's okay.
Well, yeah, that's kind of like collecting all the garbage and then leaving it in the middle of the floor.
Well, I thought the sage cleanses it out already, clears it out, and then you have to put your. Okay.
Yeah, well, you got to let all that out. You can't trap it, so let
Huh.
it out.
Well, great. Well, I know I'm out of time. I actually ran over a little bit, but I
That's okay.
appreciate your time and spending with me, your energy, and your
It's my
connection.
pleasure. Thank you for letting me do it. And tell all
Oh,
I said thank you too.
definitely, definitely.
Yep. So I hope it was worth your time for you. I hope you got something out of it.
It did. And is that get emailed or Austin gets it or how does that?
I'm gonna send him link. I'm gonna send him a link to your reading on Google Drive.
Okay.
Okay, and then he can download that onto your laptop or wherever it
Perfect.
is you're using,
Yeah.
and then he'll have once I send the link, which will probably either be later today or tomorrow. Um, once after I'm done, after I send the link, you got 7 days from there before I take it off the Google Drive.
Okay. Yeah, I'll download it right away. And good
Yeah,
luck with your TV contract or
thank
whatever you
you.
got coming up. Is
I
that good?
appreciate
We
it.
will watch that on public TV soon or?
Well, episode